Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Horizontal Whispers by Fractal Minding. And this looks a little bit different, which is why I picked up on it. It has some of the normal constraints that we see, but they're displayed slightly differently. So just wanted to get into this one and see how much fun it can be, because I'm sure it will be. So, anywho, without too much more talking, let's just start getting into these rules and see what we can do with this puzzle. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box contains the digits 1 through 9 once each. Green line is whisper. Adjacent digits along a line have a difference of at least 5. So these are German whispers. So whatever this digit is, this one has to just be 5 away from it within the normal Sudoku rules. All possible horizontal whispers are given. No line can continue either to the left or to the right. So that is a negative constraint on our German whispers. So let's say this digit right here, this digit has to be 5 away from it. This one right here cannot be 5 away from it, because otherwise this line would have extended to that cell. Then we also have, and this is kind of the slightly different rule from what we're used to. Pink dot means 4 surrounding cells contain 4 not repeating consecutive digits. So this is like a Renban line, but it's shown in a circle form. So normally, let's just say this was a pink Renban line. Obviously it's not, but as an example, if this was, these 3 digits have to be consecutive. But since we're going with a circle, it's now connecting 4 cells, and these 4 cells have to be consecutive, non-repeating digits. So that just means whatever these 4 digits are, they have to be consecutive. So instead of the line, we get a circle, which is just a nice little way of mixing up that rule set a little bit. So it takes on a bit of a fresh take. So those are our rules. I am recording and my mic is working, so we're good to go. Let's get started. So something fairly interesting about this puzzle, which is not something that happens a lot in the solves that I do, is there are existing digits and there are a few of them. A lot of the times you'll see the puzzle starts, so there'll be like maybe 1 or 2 digits possible there, but this is not the case, so it's interesting. Now, what we can see is our negative constraint is already coming into play here with the given digits that we have. So we need to remind ourselves the German whispers cannot continue left or right. Well, it'd be left or right for you guys looking. It's a little bit mixed up here, but anyway. So therefore the 4 is not 5 digits, or difference, does not have a difference of 5. Therefore, this does not break the puzzle. That said, this digit is on a German whisper, and it must be at least 5 away, so it has to be 1, 2, or 3. Same can be said starting on the 7s and 9s. So the 7, these can only be 1 or 2. The 9, there's a lot of things this can be. Well, it can't be 3, but other than that. Now, I think what we need to look at is that this 7 and this 9. So in between these 2 digits, there has to be a digit that goes in this particular cell that cannot be 5 away from either one of these 2. So what does that mean? Well, it means essentially from the 7's perspective, this can be anywhere from 3 to 9. Clearly, it can't be 3, 4, 6, or 9, or 7 itself. So the only real possibilities here for this are 5 and 8, and that will also satisfy the 9 either way, because 5 and 8 are not 5 away from 9. And clearly we can't do 1 or 2, because 1 or 2 would be 5 away from both of those. Now, so we also have to look at like this line here. There is no German whispers here, so therefore these cannot, these 2 digits can't be 5 away from each other, same with these. So they must be within 5. So they have to be fairly low, 1, 2, or 5. They can't be 6 or 7 clearly, and they can't. Well, they could be 8, so I cannot rule out 8. 8 would be 4 or 4 away from 4. So, but no, it wouldn't be because it'd be. It's not valid because it would be 5 away from 3. So this cannot be 8. Can we do anything else on this line? Now, the 6 digit can't put a 1 on it or next to it, because therefore you would have a digit that's 5 away from it. It's not on a Renban. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us this has to be a 1. So what are we left with in the 3 digits that we have? We got 2, 5, and 8. Now, all of those are within 5 from 6, so we can't necessarily rule anything further out from those. Okay. Maybe we need to start looking at our pink Renbans. So we know we have to have consecutive digits. Now we know this is a 3. So these have to be anywhere from 1 up to 6, essentially. Now, how useful is that, would you say? I don't know that it is terribly. I guess what we can say is this digit has a bit of, there's restrictions on it a little bit, because we know it has to at least, the highest it could ever be is 6, because 3, 4, 5, 6 would be consecutive. It can't be a 5 because it's on a German whispers, and it can't be 1, 3, or 4. So this could be 2 or 6. Now, if it is 6 and it's on a German whisper, this forced this to be a 1, which does not work. So let me just make sure I'm correct. This has to be a 2. Yeah, because you can't have 1, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So the only thing that goes here is a 2, which is going to force this to be a 1. Now that we know this is a 2, this has to at least be 5 way, so it has to at least be 7. Not super useful, but it is what it is. Now this digit here, it could be 6 or 8, because it has to be 5 away from a 1. And 7 and 9 are already taken. Well, now we know we've got 2 and 3. So these are either from 1, 4, or 5. And this can't be a 1. That's all we really know. Now, I don't think we can do a whole lot with this 4 just yet, because these could be from 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Now, it does reduce the possibility of this one, but not to a great extent. It could be 5, 6, or 7 still. I guess what that does tell us, though, let's write that in for a second here. If this cannot be any lower than a 4, we've now upped our minimum on this Renban, or Renban circle, or dot, if you want to say it. So therefore, we can never now have a 1 on here. I don't think that's super useful, though. So, is there anything else we can start looking at with either our Renbans or our German whispers? The other thing I was looking at in German whispers style is that one of these has to be a 5, because you can never put a 5 on a German whisper. Now, there's not much, but we can't determine which one is which just yet. Now, I do know that this digit has to be a high digit, because it's 2 away from a high digit, so it always goes high, low in that fashion on a German whispers. So we could start writing in these digits and see if we come up with any type of a limit onto what some of these can be. So we know this has to be from 2 or 4. Can't be 1 or 3. This has to be a high digit, and it can't be 7 or 9, and it actually can't be 6 either, because 6, if I want, we'd put 1 on both these. So this actually does have to be 8, which gives us our 5 and our 6, which is nice. Now, this can never be 4 because it has to be 5 away from our 8, so it is 2. Now we're left with these 2 digits here, which have to be from 3 and 4. And this can't be 4 because, again, the 8. So this is 3 and this is 4. Now we're moving on somewhat. These can't be 5s. Okay, so we've got a 6, 2, 8 triple here. Does that tell us much of anything? One of these has to be a 2 and one of them has to be an 8. Now, if one of these is an 8, it forces there to be a 7 on one of them. But we can't quite call out which one is which, because if this was an 8, you clearly couldn't put a 7 on either one of these, but you could put a 7 here. And then you'd either have a 6 and a 9 or a 6 and a 5, and they can go anywhere. Now, we do know just by Sudoku some things that need to go over here. So we can't have a 1 or a 4 over here, and it can't be here. So these have to be, there has to be a 1 and a 4 over here somewhere. Now this can't be a 4. So we know one of these is a low digit, one of them is a high digit, but we already knew that anyway. If we were to have a 4 on the German Whisper, that would force a 9 on it as well, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing saying it can't be. Now, going in the opposite direction, we know there has to be a 3 over here somewhere. If we had a 3 on our German Whisper, that means the other digit has to be a 9, because we can't use an 8. Okay. That could be a useful thing. The other thing is that we know that one of these is a 5. And interestingly, we can't rule this out as being a 5 because this is 2 or 8. And if this was a 5, you could get to it from both the 2 and the 8. So is there anything else that we know must go down here, maybe? It doesn't look like it because it's 1, 4, and then there's, 5, 6, and 7 are the other leftover possibilities. 5, 6, 7, and 9, excuse me. And they can go in any of these situations pretty much. Now, I guess what we can do is look at our 6s a little bit, because we know none of these can be 6. So one of these 2 is 6. Again, it's not a wonderful determination, but it is something. Now, we also know there has to be an 8 up here somewhere, because we can't put an 8 in any of these other digits. Do we know anything else? Not really. So, let's take a little bit of a further look at these just to make sure I'm not missing anything that's somewhat obvious. And then we'll perhaps move on. Because I don't really have anything. I guess I know that this digit has to be semi-high. Because it has to be within 5 of 7, 8, or 9, and it can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it can't be 6 either. So it has to be, it just has to be from 5, 8, and 9, which is not great, because we can't have a 7. And that 5, obviously, could be in any of these, because it's not on German Whisper. Okay, let's, maybe we need to switch gears off of this a little bit and say, what do we need to say? Well, maybe we can do something with our German Whisper, excuse me, and our pink Renban here. We know that these 2 digits have to be within 3 of each other. So if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, I know it can't be that because of other Sudoku, just as an example. So these two digits are always close to each other in some fashion. But it doesn't look like that's going to be enough, actually, because this could still be a 4. Well, this... Yeah, this could be a 4. This could be a 2. Now, if this was a 4 or a 1, this has to be a 2, because neither one is within distance on our Renban dot to get to an 8. But this is not guaranteed to be either a 1 or a 4. Is there anything else we can say about that? No, it looked like it might have given me something there, but I don't see how it does right now. Now being an 8, whichever one this is, it does rule out some things around it, but we have to determine which one is the 8 before we can even go there. Can we do something maybe with one of these has to be a 2, so therefore, whatever sets of these digits have to be from 1, 3, 4, or 5. But that's a tough one to figure. We know there's a 3 here in one of these. We don't know where. That would determine what's going either on the Renban or not on the Renban. Okay, well, looking up here at least, I see something. I haven't even looked at the top of the grid yet. Maybe you have. But we know that one of these has to be a 5 because a 5 can't be on the Renban, so this cannot be a 5. Now, if we know none of these can be 5s, does that do us any use? Don't think it does either. Let's take a quick peek to determine maybe. Now, I mean, we can say that none of these can be 5s, clearly, and none of these can be 5s. Oh, that was... No, because this one still could be a 5. Okay, I thought I had a 5 picked out, but I do not. It's very close, though. Now, if this was a 5... Well, that doesn't work, does it? Because if this is a 5, it forces the 1 and the 4 to be on the German Whisper. So this cannot be a 5. This one actually, I think, just has to be. Well, maybe not, but that doesn't matter at this point. The point is, there cannot be a 5 here because we force 1 and 4 to be on the Renban. So there has to be a 5 up here, which means this is not a 5, which means this is a 5. Now that we know there's a 5 on here, this has to be a 3-9 pair because we can't put an 8 with our 3. And the only things that can go with a 3 on a German Whisper are 8 and 9. So that is 3-9. So I can get rid of that. I can get rid of our possibilities of 9, which gives us our 8 and our 7. And there's a little something to work with. I'm going to do a quick markup of that having to be a 7, just so I don't forget about it. Now, we know what these 3 digits up here are going to be, which is going to help us. They have to be from 5, 6, and 9, and this cannot be 6. Now that we know what those are, we know what these have to be. They have to be 1, 4, and 7. Now 4 can never go with a 7 on a German Whisper, so the only 2 digits that will work here are the 7 and the 1. So this is the 4. Let's get rid of our marks here. Okay, so we've got a 5 here. That still doesn't rule out which one is 2 and which one is 8. Because we can still do 5, 4, 3, 2. Some variation of that to get to the 2. Maybe 4, 3 this way, but... And here we know we already knew we're going on an uptick at least to the 4 from the 4. So we ruled out our 1s over here anyway. And what can we do here? We've got a 2 and a 3. It could still be 1 4 or 4 5. So this is either 1 4 or it's 4. Okay, so that doesn't rule out anything there. Well, the 5 actually just does. This is 4. Therefore, this has to be 1. Okay, there we go. Now, we know one of these is a 5. We have to have 3. Well, can we do anything with this German whisper right now? Because we know we're going to have varying digits, so either high, low, or low, high, low. But we can't say that both of these have 2 highs or 2 lows, which I think what we can say is that they don't both have 2 lows, because there aren't enough lows left in this region to do that. So we know that at least one of them is high, low, high. Don't know that that's a wonderful observation or not. So let's look elsewhere. Now, can we do, if, no, because that still doesn't do anything for us. And this doesn't do anything for us in terms of extending either one of these, which is interesting. Okay. Is there anything basic Sudoku-y that I'm missing? And yes, that is a word, Sudoku-y. It's in the dictionary, look it up. So none of these can be 2s. I don't think I can rule out 2 anywhere else. Can I kind of start maybe jumping into some of these digits as to what they can be? Or is that just getting too much into just marking for the sake of marking? I think that may be the case. Let's look in this box, since we had a ton of given digits and I kind of just didn't look at them too much as to maybe where a possibility of something might be able to be ruled out. Don't really see it, although I can look at the 4s here and say there's no 4s in any of these. There has to be a 4 on this Renban dot. So we can't ever have a super high digit. 4, 5, 6, 7 is the highest we could ever get. We can't have an 8 in any of these as well, but now it's not possible to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this Renban dot. And this is the only one where this kind of comes into play, I think, because it's sitting in its own region. Now, if this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, well, no, it's not true, actually, because this could be the low digit. Here's what I was thinking, and then obviously it's not actually valid here, or doesn't apply too much here, but what I was thinking was, since if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, we've been using up all of the low digits, and this has to have a low and a high digit on it. Literally, that could be that low digit on it. So that didn't pan out how I had hoped it would, how my brain initially jumped onto it. Now, we can't have 4s in any of these. So we have to have a 4 somewhere on one of these 2. And clearly this one can't be a 4, so that's probably where I was supposed to look once we got these 4s figured out. So 4 can't go in any of these places because of these 2 4s, and this 4 is looking here. So now we have a German whisper that has to have a 4 on it. One of these 2 German whispers has to have a 4 on it. Well, the only thing that goes with 4s on German whispers are 9s, because they are the only digit 5 away, so this one can never be the 4. So this has to be a 4, which makes this a 9. Now, with that said, we then removed 4s from all of these, so one of these is a 4. So we actually got quite a few of the 4s that are down. And we can rule out 4 from all of these. These ones here, just from basic Sudoku, and this one here, because that would force this to be a 9. We already see a 9. But again, there's nothing really there. Now, is there any... Let's see if there's any negative constraints, maybe, that we could look at that are going to help us. And, well, I mean, looking back at a Sudoku, we've got an X-wing on 7s, because one of these has to be 7, and one of these 3 has to be a 7. So therefore, none of these could be 7. Again, it's kind of grasping at Sudoku straws there, I think. So, was there anything else with these 4s or anything along those lines that we can use to help us? Now, none of these are any type of negative constraint. Same goes with these, because these are on a German whisper. I can't ever have 2 digits in any of these that are 5 apart. So this one only in the row, clearly, because that's the rules of the horizontal whispers. So this digit has to be somewhat low. It has to either be a 1, but can't be 2, 3, 4, or it could be a 5. It can't go to 6 and it can't go to 7, because 7 would be 5 away from 2. So this is either 1 or 5. Now, if it's 1 or 5, it's still a low-ish digit. But if it's 5, then this clearly could be anything. If this was a 1, does that do anything to this puzzle? Another way to... Oh, actually, I just saw something that I could have used this 9, which was the last thing that I actually proved. Well, these can't be 9 because of Sudoku. None of these can be because of... They just aren't 9s. And this one can't be a 9 as well, because if it was a 4-9 pair, we would have a German whisper here. Now, we just ruled out that this can't be a 9, so we've just put our 9 in, and now we can finally differentiate our digits here. So let's get that done, and this has to now be 5. So we can get rid of our 5 here. That's as far as we can go on that one just yet. So now we know that this has to be a 6, because these have to be consecutive. This is with our 2, so these have to be 3 and 4. 4 can't go here, so this is 4, this is 3, and now we're going to have a little bit of room to move, because this 3 is on a German whisper, and the only thing it can be next to from previous discussions are 8 and 9, and we already have a 9 there, so that has to be an 8, and then now this has to go back down low. The only low digit left over is a 1, so now this is 7. Okay, there was a bit of movement there. Now we've got these 2 digits left over, and they have to be from 7, and 7 cannot go there. So we've got 7 and 1. Can we do anything with these guys down here now that they are kind of flushed out a little bit? I'm going to put them in because I see one thing that we can remove, and we'll see if it goes anywhere. These have to be from 2, 5, and 6. Now, there's no negative constraint ruling out this one, because they're all within 5 of 4. This one cannot be a 2, because that would be 5 away from a 7. This cannot also be 6, so therefore the only thing left is 5. Neither of these can be 5. We've got a 6 actually looking in here, so this is 2 and 6. So there we go. Now we can figure out what these 2 digits are. They are 7 and 8, so they are... We do have 2 highs, 4 highs technically, and then 2 lows. And since these are 7 and 8, these have to be 6 and 9. So one of these is a 1. The other one is going to have to be, well, I don't quite know. Do I? Because they have to be from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Clearly they can't be a 4 for multiple reasons, but that one being the most obvious. We know one of these is 2. I mean, one of these is 1. The other one could still be 2 or 3, because you could have 6, 8, 3. Or, sorry, 9, 8, 3 is what I meant to say, not 6. and then the other one could be 6, 1, 7, and those would all work out perfectly fine. So that does give us a 6, 9 pair here, though, that looks down here. So this is 3 and 9. And we've got this digit is a given 5 now. So that's 5. This one could still be from 1, 2, or 3, but it can't be 1, so it's 2, 3. Okay, well, there we've got something going there. We know what these 3 digits now to be. Well, this is not 1, so let's just get rid of that. These have to be from 2, 3, and 9. So one of these is 9. This is not 2 or 3, so it is the 9. Get rid of that 9. We don't have another 2 or 3 looking at this one. And the 2 and the 3 work for both of these clues, so we can't differentiate there. Now, these, we can say that we have a 1 just given, which our Sudoku helps us with. And we have to have a 5 somewhere, so this has to be 5 because it's not on the German Whisper, and therefore this has to be 8. Now, we get an, what is this, 6 and 8? So we know there's no 6s and no 8s in any of these because we've got 2 sets of X-wings. So the 6s see all of these, plus that one actually, so we know one of these is a 6. The 8s are here, so none of these can be 8s, and we've got 2 8s seeing them down here, so we actually just get an 8. Now, these 3 digits may be the next way to look. I think we've done most of our pink Renban dots, so we can, the only one left is going to be these 2 here, which might come in handy shortly. Let's do this one, this column. We end up with 5, 7, and 9. We know this can't be 5, so we know this is a high, so this has to be a low digit, 1, 2, or 3. It can't be 1 because the one's looking at it. So we've got a lowish digit, either 2 or 3, and we've got a 4. So we've 3, 4, 5, 6 is the highest it could possibly go, but it can't get up to 6 because 6 is over here. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there's no 1 in any of these, so it's just given to us. If I looked at Sudoku a little bit, so we've got a 1 here and a 1 here. So this is a 1, 4 pair. These are 2, 3 pairs. This is 6 and 9 to finish this column, and this is 5 or 6, and we've got a 5 here, so we got our 6. We get our 5, 6, 9, 9. This is not 9. There we go. Now, we know, like I said, this has to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So what my brain was thinking earlier on was completely wrong. As we find out, it happens a lot, so I'm not too worried about it. We've got 4, 5, and 6 on this pink Renban dot. So this digit here is either 3 or 7. And surprisingly, we cannot determine that. So then this has to be from 2, 3, and 7, and this is not 7. So actually we can determine, we get a 2, 3 pair here. It tells us this has to be 7. The other way to look at it would have been just look at the Sudoku. But again, that's easy pickings, why bother? So we've got this column. We've only got 2 digits left that can go in it, which are 4 and 9. And if we were to ever put a 4 here, that would force a 9 here, but we can't do that. So this is 9 and this is 4. And that 9 is going to break everything up. Let's just click through them real quick. That was a mistype down there, it looks like. So let's just make sure we get this right. What was left here? We had 5 and 7. Okay, just wanted to make sure I didn't mess up on my typo, and this can't be a 5 clearly, so that's a 7, that's a 5. No harm done. Now that makes this have to be a 2 and a 3. And therefore, we can state that this is a 7 because of that 8. And this is an 8. That 4 gives us our 1 and our 4. This has to be a 1 because it's the only thing left, plus the only thing that goes between 6 and 7. This can't be 1 or 2, so this has to be 3, which does work with the 8 and 9, like stated before. This has to be 2, this has to be 3. 2, 3, and we're going to finish this one off with these last 2 digits. And I'm going to take a quick look to make sure our negative constraints are all working out before I finalize this puzzle, just because I think it makes sense. So this one clearly can't be a 5, so it's 2. So I'm going to leave it hanging there for a second, just because it's fun, right? And to look at this. So anywhere on our horizontals, we should never see 2 digits that are not on a German whisper that are 5 apart. So let's just do some quick verification. Good, 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 good. All appears to be copacetic, which is awesome. So we are now proven to be good. Let's click on this and you solve the puzzle. Great. So that one was a lot of fun. Like I said, taking in a Renban line and making even like a modest little change to how it's perceived by doing dots instead of lines, I think is really a fun way to go about some of these rules. Because I know, those of us who are doing Sudokus every day, which is most people who are watching my videos, I would assume, have seen the vast majority of these clues over and over and over again. It's nice to get a little bit of a fresh take on it. So I enjoyed that one. I hope you all did too. Thank you, Fractal Minding, again for another wonderful puzzle, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.